All right, let's break down what we know. In a state that split 55 to 45 Republicans to Democrats, Ohio Republicans would hold on to 60% or more of the seats in the legislature under this newly drawn map.
Christian Hauser tells us when it could go into effect and what might also keep that from happening.
University of Cincinnati political science professor David Niven studies gerrymandering. He stayed up late to see if the Ohio Redistricting Commission would be able to approve a new legislative map. It did, but the map passed along party lines, 5-2 Republicans.
They can actually win a strong majority in the legislature without actually getting a majority of the votes.
The commission consists of 4 representatives picked by the majority and minority leaders in each house, along with Governor DeWine, Secretary of State Frank LaRose, and Auditor Keith Faber, all of which are Republicans. Jen Miller, executive director of the League of Women Voters Ohio, says they are very disappointed in the results.
That hurts everybody. When maps are rigged, lawmakers don't have to listen to us. Political parties don't have to listen to us.
Miller's not the only one. Governor DeWine and Secretary of State LaRose both say they are not happy with the map or the process, but ultimately they voted yes to the new gerrymandered map. DeWine's office sent this statement defending his yes vote despite opposing the map. Governor DeWine has expressed his disappointment that no path remained possible for a 10-year bipartisan map. That being said, a constitutional deadline remained to pass a map, and the commission had a responsibility to meet that obligation, especially with no alternative paths to a 10-year map, even if the deadline was missed. So essentially, he's saying something needed to pass no matter what, and they weren't going to come up with something that everyone could agree with. I called and emailed LaRose's office, but so far, no one has gotten back with me. This map will be challenged in court, and because of the constitutional amendment that was passed a few years ago, Ohio has a fairness standard that must be met for redistricting. New maps must give seats proportionally to how people voted over the past decade. That gives Republicans about a 54 to 46% advantage. These newly created maps are projected to give Republicans representation in the 60+ % range. Next up is the U.S. congressional map.
The Ohio congressional map is an extraordinary document. It retires undefeated. Over 10 years, not a single seat changed hands from Democrats to Republicans. Didn't matter the election, didn't matter whether it was a presidential year, good year for Democrats, good year for Republicans, the exact same outcome year after year.
The state lost a congressional seat, so no matter what, the map must change. But fair election advocates worry a similar gerrymandered map will be created as well. For Local 12 News, I'm Christian Hauser.
Because the maps were not unanimously agreed upon, they will need to be redrawn in 4 years, but before they can go into effect, they will be challenged in Ohio's Supreme Court. The head of one Ohio hospital says he has never felt so helpless now that we are dealing with a COVID surge.
And understandably, it's putting more of a strain on hospitals right now. We can tell you more than 3,500 people are in the hospital battling COVID at this hour. More than 900 are in the ICU. Almost 600 people with coronavirus are on ventilators.
The Delta variant is aggressively seeking out anyone who lacks immunity and is making many of them very sick. You know, if all of us were vaccinated, we just wouldn't be seeing this.
And today, Ohio reports more than 8,300 new coronavirus cases. It's the 5th straight day the state has recorded an increase in the number of cases. 355 people have been admitted to the hospital. There have been 24 ICU admissions.
Governor Andy Beshear says hospitals in the Bluegrass State continue to be hit hard. He says right now there are just 93 total adult ICU beds available throughout the state. 66 of the state's 96 hospitals are currently experiencing staffing shortages.
It is serious, and now's the time. Now we should have gotten we should have been able to avoid this entire surge.
The governor updated the number of vaccines. So far, more than 2.6 million Kentuckians have gotten at least their first shot. Boone County is one of 2 counties where 2/3 of those eligible are already vaccinated. The other is Jefferson County in Louisville.
They kind of brushed it off as an incident that kind of just happens. Well, it doesn't just kind of happen that a child goes to school and teaching staff decides to cut her hair.
Attorney Chandrika Simmons filed a $1 million federal lawsuit this week against Mount Pleasant Public Schools on behalf of Jimmy Hoffmeyer and his 7-year-old daughter, Journey. The suit alleges that MPPS committed racial discrimination, assault and battery, and violated Journey's constitutional rights. She allegedly had pain and suffering, emotional distress, mental anguish, humiliation, embarrassment, along with medical bills. This, the alleged result of a haircut given to Journey at school in March without her parents' permission.
Journey had long flowing curls. She's a biracial child. She had nice flowing curls. And so for someone to think that they should be able to cut those, what could go through someone's head to justify cutting that child's hair?
As we reported earlier this year, MPPS reprimanded 3 employees involved with the haircut. The district has already released findings from a third-party investigation that said, although this happened without parental knowledge and in violation of school policy, there is no evidence it was motivated by racial bias. School administrators say they will work to make sure an incident like this never happens again. That's what Simmons is working towards too, and she thinks that this lawsuit is the way to make it happen.
The environment and the culture at Mount Pleasant School District obviously needs to change, because there's no way that a school district in 2021 should think that cutting a minor child's hair at school is not a big deal.